Hello, Cure fans out there. How are you doing this morning, this afternoon, this evening? Whatever hour of the day it is, I hope you're feeling great. And welcome to the Holy Hour podcast. This is the All Cure podcast, devoted to the legendary act, The Cure. I'm Gavin. Thanks so much for joining us. We've got a great episode right here for you. This is a big one. You guys all know the song. And we figured it's Monday. We're about as far from Friday as we can get, so we can step back, have a little perspective, and really take a deep breath and look at the hit single from The Cure, 1992, Friday, I'm in Love. Yes, it's probably one of the most widely known Cure songs, and it's pretty divisive, I guess. A lot of people are split on it. Some people hold it so dear to their heart, maybe their favorite Cure song. A lot of people, it might be their only Cure song they love. A lot of diehard Cure fans don't like this song, and I'm not really sure where all the perspectives come from. So we're going to try to put this one under the microscope for an hour and have you guys check it out with me, and we'll weigh all the pros and the cons and all the artifacts. We'll go through the forensic evidence and try to figure out what is the deal with this song and what makes it such a loved and hated tune by this band that we all at least must care something about if you're listening to a podcast, right? So join me. We got some creative input and some thoughts from some outside listeners. So we'll get to that and let's dive in. What do you think? Friday, I'm in Love. Woo! Yeah, so Friday, I'm in Love, second single off of Wish, came out in 1992. Wish in particular, very important Cure album. It was the follow-up to their big breakthrough platinum record Disintegration in 1989, and Wish would mark pretty much the height of if anyone was ever going to care about the Cure in the mainstream or out in mass, the whole world, that was the moment. So there was a lot riding on this record when it came out. And all eyes were on the Cure. Alternative music in general had broken through, and it wasn't even just a cool underground thing anymore. Everybody knew about the Cure from their success of Love Song and Disintegration, and it was just something that was brought into the mainstream, however you want to trace back the big breakthrough of alternative music. But this was happening, and so like we said, all eyes are on the Cure for this album, and they pretty much delivered. That's the weird thing about this single, is that High did really well too, the lead-off single off this album, but Friday I'm in Love would be considered, and it was weird, either their biggest hit or at least on par with Love Song. I always track Love Song down to reaching the U.S. Billboard charts at number 2, and then it got a little weird for 1992, because around that time, as we've mentioned in podcasts before, that's like the Billboard charts got kind of divided up into these weird categories, and all of a sudden there's a hot modern rock, and I guess modern rock was basically alternative music. So there's a whole separate chart. And according to the charts, Hot Modern Rock Billboard in 1992, Friday I'm in Love made it to number 1. So it was a number 1 single, really. I always somehow had it in my head that it like kind of peaked out at 2, like Love Song. But I guess if you're counting the Modern Rock chart, it was a number 1 hit. In the dance charts, it was number 32. And then just on the Hot 100, which I guess is just like the regular pop chart, I was surprised it only made it to 18 on that. So in one chart, it was a little further than I thought, and then another one, it was way lower than I thought. But anyway, it's probably considered their biggest hit, maybe? I don't know. By some people, I'd still think Love Song would be considered their biggest hit, a good stable Billboard number 2. But it wasn't just in the U.S. charts. This is all over the place. In the U.K., Friday I'm in Love made it to number 6 on the chart. Ireland, number 4. Canada, number 3. South Africa, number 1 on the Billboard charts. And so it was a major hit all across the boards. I think you could pretty much count anything in those categories as a hit. Came out on May 11th. So a spring love song, pop jam from The Cure. Like I said, all eyes are on them, and they knew it, and they delivered with a big pop hit, because you would think, that would be the time to do it. And you know that Robert's a smart enough songwriter to know that this album, even though it was going to pack some heavy weight, needed a big pop song, because now is the time to strike some hit gold, and they deserved it, right? They'd put in all the legwork. They had put out In Between Days and Just Like Heaven, and very solid pop songs that were widely loved by the community and the college rock scene and such, but didn't actually break very high into the Billboard charts and stuff. And I keep saying charts because it is just some way of tracking it. But one thing we have learned in doing this podcast, and anybody that's a overall fan of good pop music knows that pretty much the charts mean crap, and there's so many great songs that didn't come anywhere near the top 5 on the Billboard charts or whatever category of the Billboard charts. So I have to go on the record to say that. But but all across the board, further proving though that this was just a major hit single, and it really delivered in that perspective. If you're looking for The Cure to kind of, they knocked the door down with Disintegration and are standing in the room, and this is the now what kind of moment, and Friday I'm in Love delivered. And it's, I don't know, we'll get into opinions later, so I kind of just wanted to address the fact that it is a pretty dividing song for Cure fans even, and I can't quite tell to this day even, is it because it was such a huge hit or because it's just such a poppy song? And I think a lot of people that don't like it even would say, oh, it's just because it's so poppy, it's so happy, and that's not what The Cure is about. It's just kind of goofy. But I feel like maybe on some level, they even won't admit that, and it's only because it's a huge hit. I think a lot of Cure fans really hold this band dear to their heart, so they get a little defensive when, people from outside, maybe even people that made fun of you for liking The Cure at one point, end up liking the song, and just total strangers latching onto a song, and you feel a little dirty, like it's like, that's my band, and it's a theory. So I think there might be some of that to Friday I'm in Love, because for the first time you're really getting massive airplay, massive video play, probably just in mainstream time of MTV, and a lot of just goofballs are probably latching onto The Cure now and buying the album just for this one song, and I think a lot of diehard Cure fans are a little like, whoa, get back, whether it has anything to do with the actual song or not. That said, I think there's a lot of other reasons too that we'll get into in a little bit later, but I think there's a lot of legit Cure fans that probably heard this song and liked it for the first time, and then that got them into more stuff too. So it goes both ways, and we'll analyze all that. So before we really dive into opinions and theories and more perspectives that I'll try to sum up and cover everyone's perspective on this song, maybe a little background on this tune. So a lot of it's kind of Friday I'm in Love lore at this point that somebody has mentioned in one interview or article or not over the years. So just thought I'd scrape up a few of them for you guys that aren't as familiar with some of these. But yeah, going back to the writing phase, apparently Robert knocked this one out pretty quickly musically in the chord progression, and was just really stuck on the fact that this might have been nicked from something, or it was a ripoff or something, and that was just driving him crazy because the chord progression in particular sounded so familiar to him, and said, this has got to be a hit, and some other song, and actually called up friends and played them the song, and everybody's like, nope, can't say I heard any of this before. And I don't know, I think that's kind of a cool story and a good testament of how catchy the song is, because it always seems like with like the most poppy, or not even poppy, but just a super catchy song, I think when you write it or hear it for the first time, that it's good if it feels like it should have already been written. It's kind of like, how could this not have been written at this point? And the lyrics do that too, but he's not even talking about the lyrics at this point, but just the overall feel, the chord progression. I mean, it's all just mostly D, A, and G with a, B minor thrown in there. So they're not like doing anything crazy chord wise, but at the same time, yeah, you'd think somebody would have put that progression together in that rhythm, but nothing I could think of that he would be thinking of. So yeah, I think that's part of the beauty of it. It was just like, yeah, this song just feels like it had to have already been out there. So why not? And who better to do it than The Cure? So I've read at one point, and I couldn't dig this up to figure out where it was found. But like a lot of Cure songs, they said it kind of hung in there with the idea of maybe being an instrumental for a long time. As you could tell listening to their demos on the reissues, and just his kind of style of writing and recording and doing both at the same time. A lot of times they'll record the music. I think he usually has some kind of vocal melody in mind and stuff, but kind of waits till it's all done and then cuts loose over it. But for a long time, apparently, I think Wish had a ton of like songs that they were thinking about maybe just keeping some of them as instrumentals on it. And I remember hearing that Friday I'm in Love, which initially sounds crazy because you're like, what? That's like so poppy. Like you would think of instrumentals as being some big epic number or something, like in a slower, instrumental jam or something. But I mean, but when you listen to it, it would be pretty rad. It's just got that killer guitar part. I think that makes it so cool. That little opening, so all that, and yeah, could work as a instrumental, but not the case, because one day apparently he went out to the pub and started thinking about days of the week, and the lyrics came to him, and again, it was kind of like, nobody's done this yet, so which I do think gets a little Sesame Street-ish at times. Maybe might be a complaint, and might be why some people are kind of rubbed the wrong way with it. But I don't know. We'll get into that more later too, where it starts just throwing colors and days of the week out and stuff. But he does it so well. It's not like goofy at all. Well, maybe a little goofy, but in that adorable Cure kind of way. So yeah, the other big trivia fact for Friday I'm in Love is that the recording, when they were messing with it and the music, they had sped up the tape a little bit to mess around with sounds and such, and apparently forgot to do it or just didn't pull it back at some point, and actually started recording some stuff over it, and it sounded better that way. So when you listen to the recording from Wish of Friday I'm in Love, it's actually like a quarter tone higher than what the key is when they play it in live. It's just in D, but you'll see people kind of play it with a capo on the first fret, if you know what that means guitar wise. It's just kind of like if you kind of tuned it up a half step, so it sounds like a weird tuning, but it's really just the tape was sped up a little bit, and then he sang over it that way and kept it like that because it keeps it, which definitely is smart because it adds to the peppiness of the song and why it always seems to really jump out recording wise. And sometimes when they play it live, it can sound a little flatter, so I think a lot of it has to do with that. Makes sense, right? So that's kind of cool little fact. And so if you're trying to play along with it with your guitar, you're not losing your mind. It is a little bit, your tuning won't match, so you have to mess with it a little bit if you're trying to play along on the recording. So they wrote it and released it, and like we said, it was a major hit all across the world there in some form or another. But today even, it's still kind of recognized as like one of the most obvious Cure songs, and it's used, as we talked about in the movie and show episode with Chaz. It's probably one of the more commonly used songs in films, unfortunately. Usually like a rom-com or some terrible sitcom or something will use it in the big love scene. Yeah, it was used in Rock Band, Guitar Hero, whatever those things are, the video games that you play along with. Apparently it was on that. And probably the most widely covered Cure song, I would say, out there. When you punch in Friday I'm in Love Cure cover on YouTube, you literally get 4,850,000 results. And most of them, even on the first page of scanning through it, there's only like 2 that are actually like the Cure live. So like it's pretty much covered by anyone with a camera and a guitar. So you can imagine every kind of version and take of this song has been interpreted and recorded by somebody. Everyone from David Gray, Yola Tango just put out a pretty cool cover fairly recently. Stereophonics had a live thing where they covered it. Apparently, it was used on the show Glee, even. Um, but yeah, all kinds of stuff. We even have our first contribution from a listener in regards to Friday I'm in Love and a cover. We had a fella from Nashville write in, and his name's Heath, and he said, "Hey Gavin, I went to school for audio engineering in Nashville, Tennessee. My freshman year, we had to record a cover in a very nice studio that we are not at all familiar with and totally not ready to fully understand. So we got some friends together and recorded this without any rehearsal. It's dreadful, but I thought I would pass it on." And yeah, he goes on to say that it was basically put together in 3 hours, and he and his buddies were able to record a cover of Friday I'm in Love, and he's been kind enough to share that with us. So we'll play a snippet of it now, and in its entirety at the close of this episode. So here you go. Here's Heath and his ragtag band of buddies throwing together a quick cover of Friday I'm in Love for their school project back in 2008.
I don't care if Monday's blue, Tuesday's gray, and Wednesday too. Thursday, I don't care about you, it's Friday, I'm in love. Monday, you can fall apart. Tuesday, Wednesday, break my heart. Thursday doesn't even start, it's Friday, I'm in love. Saturday, wait, oh, and Sunday always comes too late, but Friday never has a date. I don't care if
So yeah, there you go. There's Heath doing a punkier take on Friday I'm in Love, but not too bad for 3 hours getting the gang together and knocking it out. I think that's pretty rad. So good job, Heath, and thanks so much for sharing that with us. It's worth noting the video also aided into the success of this song. I think we just recently did the video episode and kind of babbled over it for the duration of the video, but for those that didn't catch that, Tim Pope, a longtime video director, upcoming director of a Cure documentary that's coming out this year, focusing on their 40th anniversary. But Tim Pope directed the video for Friday I'm in Love, and it just involves basically the band coming downstairs into like a studio setting. Looks just kind of like a basement, and they change backdrops and have characters walking in and out. And they did this for about 3 hours apparently, and just had little characters walking around, costumes flying around, and the band just got plastered apparently while filming this. So it's a very easy, quick video for the band to make, and actually captures the essence of the song great, I think, and it's really cool. So they're just kind of trashing the set as it goes, and I don't know, the overall theme is supposed to be a nod to a silent French film called The Eclipse, Courtship of the Moon and the Sun. Came out in 1907. I'll have to try to track that down, but I haven't seen the original silent film, but it's real short apparently. But the cool thing about the song and the video, and I don't want to give away my verdict on how I feel about the song just yet, but you could probably pick up on it. I think it's cool in the sense that the video really captures that they're doing this fun song, poppy song, but they're not getting away from like who they are. They're not pretending to be somebody else. The song is still a very Cure-like pop song, even though it's fun and happy, and it might not be something that the Cure really taps into a lot, but they do it as the Cure still. I don't feel like that there's any real mask or like them trying to be, something else for the sake of making a hit. I think it's very much Cure still, and even just seeing that video, I mean, he still looks very Roberty. They're still just acting, like the Cure would act in a video, and not trying to, because I mean, you could have made so many, and I think we talked about this in the videos episode, like this could have had such a dreadful video and really just kind of hurt your overall opinion of the band for sure, if it was like them just like, hanging out with some like model or something, like cruising in a convertible with her or something, and he's singing to her, even if he kept it cool. It could have just gotten so dorky so quick, and just had them, I don't even know, but I'm sure there was some terrible ideas tossed around, and keeping it pretty much this weird, loose, kind of very Tim Pope thing is very huge credit to the song, I think, and its success, and still keeping Cure fans on board while bringing in new fans. And that's the key to making a pop gem when you've been around for as long as they had by this point. You don't want to piss off everybody that's been with you from the start, or even from just Disintegration on, because a lot of people that latched on to Disintegration might not even be too fond of this song. And so I could see that being a tough, thin line. You don't want to divide your fans so much that they don't even want to come back to see what's next, And so great job on the video. I like the video for sure, and I think it captures the song and doesn't really, if you hate the song, then that's fine. But the video definitely didn't ruin it. And the single art, of course, is done by Poro and Andy Vela, Parched Art, and like all of Wish's art, I think, really also very much capture the essence of the songs, and very cool. So I think the single is very dynamic cover that you see a lot in Cure imagery. And if you saw them on the live show on this last tour in 2016, they had a really cool backdrop with little hearts bouncing around, and it was cool just to see like the single cover kind of come to life, and in that way, and the cool backdrop of the stage show. And I guess it kind of along those lines, Friday I'm in Love has been pretty much a live staple that they, I'm sure on some level, feel like they have to throw in there, just because they know a lot of fans probably latched onto that song early on, and that's nice of them to throw it in there for the majority of live shows. And it doesn't seem like it's paining them too much to crank it out, but it's definitely a one that it's pretty rare, I think, at this point if they don't play it. But it's fun, I feel like a lot of people that might not even really love the song that much or be too crazy about it still enjoy seeing it in the live set, because you are just having such a special moment of fun that if you're ever going to cut loose and dance around to Friday I'm in Love, that's the moment to do it. Even the most bitter, cranky old Cure fans that hate it would probably still feel a little tingle in their bottom when they get playing that song, So we also had another quickie contribution from a listener. Emily wrote us in saying that when she saw The Cure back in 2014, in December 23rd, 2014, it was the last night at the Hammersmith, and The Cure was playing, and they played Friday I'm in Love, and she said it was a great moment because Lily Gallup got up on some guy's shoulders during the song, and she was barefoot and wearing a really cute red dress and having a great time, and Simon's daughter, of course, and that just really channeled what an awesome moment that was, hearing Friday I'm in Love and seeing the love of a band member's daughter and her, and everyone sharing the moment together. And that does sound like that would have been pretty sweet to witness. And she sent in a photo. She said she didn't take the photo, so if anybody wants to vouch for the photo on the Facebook page, by all means, let me know. We'll give you credit. But yeah, and any other listeners out there that were at that show in 2014 at the Hammersmith and can add to the full picture there, let us know. Would love to hear more on this epic moment in Cure live history with Friday I'm in Love. So let's go ahead and just dive into what makes this song so divisive, and what is the real struggle here between Cure fans, non-Cure fans, light Cure fans, diehard Cure fans, and where Friday I'm in Love flops right in the middle of all of it. And I don't know. I guess just when I was throwing out the pitch to people on Instagram, that kind of says it all in themselves. I was kind of just hoping somebody would write in a huge story or some kind of experience, but everyone kind of had a quick 2 cents they just had to say about the song Friday I'm in Love in general. And just seeing how kind of all over the board that was kind of tells you where the Cure fans are at. So I'll just read you the quick thread here. It's a Dub Vulture. These are the handles I'm reading first, but Dub Vulture said, "Anyone who doesn't love it is dead to me." So definitely on board with Friday I'm in Love. Jetpacks for All said, hated it. When it came out, it was too poppy for me, but it has a soft spot in my heart these days. Can't beat the clever lyrics. So yeah, the initial hatred might be there for some fans, and then they come around to it. The Cure fan page says, it's cutesy and fun and all that, but it's not really the Cure I love. So I could see that perspective too, where it's like, yeah, I get it, but it's not my jam. Holly Dolly 75 said, love it. Yes, especially on Fridays. So yeah, it's hard to not embrace this song on actual Friday. You know, you hear it all over the radio stations on Friday. That's probably when it gets annoying, is that you do have to match it on Friday, but you can't beat it, right? What other Cure song's gonna make you feel good on a Friday? You gotta throw it on there. So Perfect as Cats wrote in, you gotta love it. Catchy tune, great lyrics. Robert is a genius with a flame behind it. You got it. Awesome. And of course, Melissa wrote, love the song and the music videos too. It's just fun. And I think that might be the bottom line. It's just no denying it's a good, fun pop song, and it just happened to be put out by The Cure. So I think if people have issues with it, that's kind of where it lies. I mean, that guitar part is super rad, and overall just feels great to hear. And it is an annoying pop song. I think that's kind of one of the main takeaways that I have with it, is though I love the song. I'm on board with it. I think it's cool. It's not one I would probably include in my top 10 Cure favorite songs maybe. But I do love it and have a really dear spot for it in my heart. But yeah, that being said, I love so many more songs, so many other songs more than this one. But so I guess I'm kind of taking the safe road on it, but I'm on board. If I had to choose between ships and hating it and loving it, I would definitely get on the loving it more. But yeah, I mean, it gets a little goofy and tiring, but at the same time, it's a cool song. And going back to it not being annoying, it doesn't really bug me. I mean, the Friday stuff and the days of the week do get a little Sesame Street, like we said earlier. But, I mean, it's definitely the lyrics. I wonder if that's what it is for a lot of people, if it's mostly just the lyrics or if the music bugs them too. Because I feel like the music you could listen to all day. It's fine and really catchy and fun. But it's got to just be the lyrics. But I feel like it doesn't really bug you in the way so many big alternative bands in particular have had those home run swings for a pop hit and done it in such a way more annoying way, you know? I love R.E.M. I'm not a huge R.E.M. fan, but Shiny Happy People is way more annoying than Friday I'm in Love, and to the point where I can't even listen to Shiny Happy People a lot of times. So I'm just oh God, please stop. And I just feel a little embarrassed even on certain days. Other days I love it, you know, but kind of in the same boat with that. But yeah, I never really get annoyed by Friday I'm in Love. I feel a little just the Cure's not being properly represented when I hear it at the grocery store on a Friday or something, you know. I'm kind of yeah, this isn't really what the Cure's all about, but whatever, you know. And stuff like that, those little struggles, more than the actual song being annoying, which is great. Because I think it works in the sense that it is still weird enough. Like I was saying with the video, just in the songs itself, even though it's super poppy, it's right in your face, happy for sure. I mean, it's more let's get happy than doing the Unstuck for sure. But it isn't really. They still kind of throw enough weird, dark Cure shit into the lyrics even to make it a Cure song. It's still got enough of that Cure weirdness in it. Where again, I don't feel like they were trying to just crank out a cheesy pop song in the sense of being somebody else so they can take the money and run. I feel like it's still a song, and that's probably why they still play it in live sets. You know, they don't have to play it at this point, and if they totally hated it and knew that they were just doing it for the money, then they wouldn't play it, you know. So they're smart and talented, and I think it shows. There's some great lyrics with the whole just sleek as a shriek and see you eat in the middle of the night and stuff. I mean, just these weird little nods to this or that aren't in most top 40 pop songs then or now, you know. And I think that's a huge credit to them that they're able to still write a song that isn't an obvious all right, we just gotta get a hit. We'll say anything to make it a hit, you know. So it's still a very Cure song in that regards, I think. And you can't can't fault them for that, right? So, and I think another part of its success is the fact that like you can always kind of go back in the sense. I think there's a lot of people that this happened to where you hear the fun poppy cure and it got you on board and you checked out Wish and then you probably latched onto that and High and then maybe started to dabble into like Letter to Elise and some of the darker ones that are a little more like moodier cure. And then, probably by the end of the month, even you're like really digging like To Wish Impossible Things and Apart. And then you're like, oh, well, what? This wasn't, even the biggest album. Let's get Disintegration. And then that totally shifts gears and you latch on the Pictures of You, and next thing you know, you're like sobbing during Untitled, and then, less than 3 weeks later, you're probably listening to Pornography and loving it. So I think it's easy to go down that road for a lot of people, which is kind of surprising that I feel like it's maybe a little tougher for people that really love the dark cure to embrace the pop cure. And I don't know if that's a problem or just a lifestyle choice or what, but maybe all the emo kids out there, you guys need to open your hearts a little bit more and embrace the poppy side too, because I know a lot of people that just like the dark cure and don't want to come near the poppy stuff, but I know a lot of people that like the poppy stuff but really love the dark stuff too. Does that make sense? I feel like it does because I'm in that train. I love a good pop song, but yeah, I'll listen to the shit out of some sad cure any day. Probably more often than the poppy stuff, but it's always the hooks that pull you in, right? So, and that's being gracious. I think there is a huge part of the population that probably won't come anywhere near listening to this podcast that just have like maybe the greatest hits album and probably only really regularly listen to Friday I'm in Love and maybe just like Heaven occasionally. And that's all they need. Maybe that's all they need from The Cure or music in general. And whatever, those aren't really the people we're talking to, right? So good on them. I guess they at least a couple of the boring songs they like one band that has more to them than that. So whatever, we're not picky. So before I really give my final verdict, we lucked out and got another little segment sent in from our buddy Chaz, who we always love to hear from, and he had a few words he wanted to share with us on Friday I'm in Love. So I'm curious to see where he stands on this tune too. So let's hear what Chaz has to say.
Hey, Holy Hour guys, this is Chaz. How's everybody doing out there? I'm gonna give my little take on Friday I'm in Love. And I've been sitting here for a while, just thinking about what I was gonna say. And part of me wants to just like rail against the song, and part of me wants to just kind of praise the song. I don't really know where to go with this. It's definitely a love-hate relationship. And I think part of that whole thing is the fact that the song is way, way, way overplayed. I'm sure if you worked in any type of office setting and the radio's playing, you're probably going to hear that song just about every Friday. Which could be a good thing or a bad thing. It kind of signifies the weekend's coming and everything, but at the same time, if you're a Cure fan, you're just kind of rolling your eyes. And like me, working in retail most of my life, that's about the only Cure song you're going to hear. Every once in a while you might hear Just Like Heaven, but that's pretty. I've heard Mint Car before, but for the most part, it's Friday I'm in Love. So like when you tell somebody that the Cure's your favorite band, or you're really into them, they either have the image of Robert looking depressed with all the makeup and crazy hair, so you're either like a goth kid or whatever, or you're the Friday I'm in Love band. So, I mean, that's kind of annoying because I think everything's deeper than that. But, I could definitely see how some hardcore fans might find that song annoying because it can be at times. But on the flip side, it's pretty much pop perfection. I just listened to the song before before recording this, and I'm like, God damn, I don't think anybody could have written a better pop song. And, you know, I think if it would have come out sometime in the mid to late 80s or the mid to late 90s, I'm pretty sure that song would have taken over everywhere. Um, it's just like it came out in, the early 90s, when there was a completely different music scene going on at the time. And I'm really surprised that it took off the way it did, but I think it could have been bigger. And for myself, I personally don't go out of my way to listen to that song, probably because I hear it so often outside of my own playlist and what I actually want to listen to. But if I every time I've seen it played live, I can't stop myself from just getting into it, dancing, bobbing my head, singing along as loud as I can. And they usually do good production value, what's going on in the background when it's playing, which is great with the lights and everything. Um, and it's obviously got to be a song that the band likes, or else I don't think they would play it like Mint Car, because I don't think I've ever seen that song live before. But yeah, I'm pretty sure that it's a favorite for Robert. If it's not a favorite, maybe he just feels obligated to play it. But either way, they do a great job when they play it. As for the lyrics, I think they're sweet and fit perfectly with the music. I'd say one of the major differences with this hit single, or just single in general, compared to a lot of the other singles that The Cure have put out, or just songs in general, is I never really felt any type of connection personally with the song. So that would definitely knock it down a bunch of pegs to, if I made a list of my favorite Cure singles. It's definitely at the bottom, but that doesn't mean that it's not a good song, because it is. It's good. It's a great pop song. Um, Probably one of their best, pop songs, except for maybe Just Like Heaven or In Between Days. But a straight up pop song is definitely, they definitely knocked it out of the park, and they achieved what they were trying to get. So I can't blame them for that. I just want to stop fucking hearing it every single Friday morning. And I don't think I can talk about this song without talking about the music video. Tim Pope's direction on that video was pretty much perfect to go along with the song. It's as far as the Cure's music videos go, it's definitely one of my favorites. It's fun. Um, it's it's funny. It's I love the Cures written on the drum, and I've been looking forever trying to figure out what shirt Robert's wearing. I believe it's like a long sleeve white shirt. But yeah, I definitely like that video a lot. I think it fits perfectly with the song. So I think I've pretty much covered all the positives that I can think of when it comes to the song. I'd like to talk about some of the negatives. Um, and if you're like an older Cure fan, like you're into their older music, I can definitely see why you fucking loathe this song. Because I have at times too. If I go back and listen to Pornography or Faith, and even In Between Days, and Kiss Me, Kiss Me, Kiss Me, and definitely Disintegration, you're just like, you hear that song, you're like, what the fuck is going on? And I completely get that and understand that, because I don't know if you would term it selling out, because I don't think you could use that with The Cure, but I could definitely see you believing that they just wrote a pop song like that to get radio play or to get bigger or whatever, sell more records or whatever, or bending to the will of the studio. I definitely could get that feeling, understand it completely. It's way too poppy. It doesn't fit what you believe the band was before and what it should be. And I completely get that, but it's not your art. So, um, I mean, you're completely allowed to feel that way, and I have felt that way at times too. But in the end, if you want that type of sound and type that feeling, you go write your own music. But I completely get it and understand it. Okay, because it is the complete opposite side of the spectrum of when you think of the albums that came before to what it is to what that was at that point in time, and the progression doesn't really make sense. And I could see you just jumping off the bandwagon at that point. And again, completely understandable. But it just doesn't take away from all that other music before. I believe all that music before was definitely more personal to me, but I still fucking love that album. Wish if Friday I'm in Love wasn't on it, I it would probably be closer to the top. Definitely probably in the top five, because I think that song kind of hurts that album, just in my own personal opinion. I again, like I said, if that song came out, I would rather heard it on Wild Mood Swings, or maybe Kiss Me, Kiss Me, Kiss Me, or even Head on the Door. I think that song would have had a totally different feel on both those albums, and maybe even a different sound. Maybe slowed down, and it would have come out a completely different way. But as far as the whole album of Wish goes, which I'm sure you guys are going to cover soon coming up, um, I, I love that album. I think there's some amazing songs on there. That Friday I'm in Love just doesn't, to me, doesn't fit in that album. Um, Maybe it doesn't fit anywhere. So I've been rambling on for about 10 minutes now, so I think that I'm going to cut it off. I can't wait to hear what everybody else feels about Friday I'm in Love. So in closing, I just want to say, Robert, where's the Wish reissue?
Yeah, good point. Ah, man, I'm dying to get that one. There's so many cool those lost wishes and stuff. I needed some better quality ones of those. But anyway, that's a whole episode in itself. But thanks so much, Chaz. Always great to hear from you, and cool to see a lot of our perspectives matching up there. So a little bit of redundancy in this episode, but cool to see that we're along the same lines on some of the thinking there. I hadn't thought of Wish without Friday I'm in Love. That's a weird angle to think about, and how much that album would change if you took like that and doing the Unstuck 2 off, and yeah, would probably make it like a little heavier of an album emotionally and such. And strangely enough, Friday I'm in Love does kind of seem more at home on Galore and Greatest Hits, so maybe it should have been a single, just a one-off single in the style of Japanese Whispers era, but too late for that now, I reckon. So yeah, I mean, I guess I've summed up already what I feel about this song. Like I said, I love the dark shit. I love the poppy stuff. I'm pretty much on board with everything, but I like this song. I love this song even. I wouldn't put it in my top 5 favorite songs, but maybe top 20. It might be in the top 20 given the day. But I do have a lot of sentimental attachment to go along with it too, so I think that might help, and might be a lot of other people's emotional attachments to things, especially pop songs like this. And as I mentioned in other episodes, I used to grow up, my mom would always put on the Casey Kasem top whatever, and I believe in hindsight that he was just going down the Billboard top whatever on Sunday and playing all the top at least 50 songs. I remember it went on forever. So we'd have breakfast and I'd just hang out and then be the day's gonna do what the day's gonna do. But we'd always, in the background, I'd be hearing them count down. And by this point, I was into the Cure and the Smiths, and my older brothers had got me onto good like college rock or whatever you want to call it. So I knew none of my favorites were gonna ever be on these lists, and I always kind of like was a little offended. I mean, I was too young to embrace that. Like, well, good, it's better they're not on that list, you know. But part of me was all like, well, what do these songs have that like these bands that I love don't get recognized for? Like, clearly these are better songs. And so I was always a little curious, and like I think when we talked about, you know, Love Song in passing, it was like quite an epic journey for me to hear like coming in at number 48, Love Song, Robert Smith and the Cure. And I was just like, oh, they're fucking doing it, they're breaking through. Never thought Love Song would be the one that like starts to creep up. And I followed it like, because it wasn't like it just jumped to number 2 quickly. It kind of crept up, I believe. And so that was awesome. And then I was just like, oh shit, game on now. Everybody knows about the Cure, and they're going to catch on. That they've got way more hits and way poppier shit that should be blowing away the charts. And like Paul Abdul, fuck that, you know, like just like Heaven, all these great ones are way better. And so when Wish came out, you know, I immediately heard Friday I'm in Love before it was even released as a single. I was like, oh shit, this is going to do it. And sure enough, you started hearing those things. I think by that point, it was a different chart. So I didn't quite hear it creeping up, but enough where it was getting played. And even my mom was aware of the song Friday I'm in Love, other than me just playing it in the car constantly and stuff. So she knew that they had another hit too. And it was like just a kind of fun thing to share with your mom, because, you know, she knew how much it meant to me that my band was making it big. And, you know, she'd been listening to them for so long at that point with me too. And she was always very open to letting me play whatever tapes I wanted in the car and stuff, even though she clearly had stuff she wanted to listen to on her own. So she was always open-minded to that, and we kind of shared in the success of Friday I'm in Love together. So that was a great moment. And around that time, I was like really taking a lot of piano lessons and such too. And due to its huge success on the charts, they also tend to get things like sheet music for those bands a lot easier. And wherever music store that had generic sheet music there, of course they had Friday I'm in Love. And I'd play it like the little elevator version on the piano for my mom when I was practicing all the time, and she would request it. So every time I hear the little do no 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 no, like it just kind of takes me back, you know. And it's a sweet, sweet melody for a sweet, sweet memory. And yeah, not so sweet memory that I do believe Dolan and I shared maybe the second or first episode of the podcast. And the quick recap on that one was a weird one, and its success level was that I feel like it had been out for a while by the point, or I guess we had, you know, bought it the day of and shit. But so we were well aware of Friday I'm in Love, but then like it started to really just take off mass appeal to people in high school and stuff that never even mentioned the Cure or recognized any of us liking the Cure or anything. And sure enough, on a Friday over the announcements, when somebody agreed to let them play Friday I'm in Love as the just over the announcements, right? Today's lunch special is pizza and corn dog, and now a song to get you ready for the day. And I was like, dun, 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 dun. I was just like, I remember Down there just like, what the fuck is happening? Our band is being played over the the band was being played. Our band was, oh my God, a bird just flew into the window. Did you hear that? Jeez. Oh man, he's probably toast. Whew. That was weird. I might have to leave that in. Anyway, where was I? Yeah, they played it over the fucking announcements, and we're all sitting there, and everyone's like, "Oh, this is good. What song is this?" And everyone's like, "Oh God." And yeah, I'm sure somebody went out and bought it that day just because of the song won them over the announcement. So they figured, oh, the cool popular kids are listening to The Cure. We got to get that now. So. Ooh, so he goes back to some weird Breakfast Club kind of shit there. But that was just a weird Friday I'm in Love memory. So can't leave this episode without also addressing the B-side to Friday I'm in Love, Halo, which I feel like is one of the top 5 underrated Cure songs. Almost equally as poppy and sappy as Friday I'm in Love, maybe. But on the right day, I think it's a better song. I fucking love Halo. I think it's really cool. Just the way it breaks down and has that cool bass line through the whole thing, and just a cool song. You're My Everything gets a little generic lyric wise maybe, but all the other lyrics are great, and yeah, I just love it. I totally feel like that could have been a hit single on any other album anyway. So definitely still in that era of them cranking out some amazing B-sides, and maybe got some more Cure fans on board too. I always like to think that if somebody has like a cool single and somebody gets that single, especially back in the cuss single days and such, if the B-side was really rad, then you're like, all right, well, they got two cool songs. I'm definitely going to go buy the album now. You know, if they just had like a really dreadful B-side on there, or just like a dumb instrumental or something like that of the same song, then I was probably less likely to go buy it. So I feel like the kind of sleeper factor of success with Friday I'm in Love might have been our boy Halo, which is a great tune, and should be covered by somebody and made into a pop hit. So is equally established as Friday I'm in Love. And I would love to hear y'all's opinions on Halo too, because like I said, I feel like it's just super underrated. Like even in all the talks of the last tour when they're cranking out some amazing B-sides and stuff like that everyone's like, oh yeah, it's Twilight Garden and fucking Exploding Boy. Of course, yeah, those are great. But nobody was even really mentioning Halo, so maybe I'm all alone in my love for that tune. But it's pretty cool. Check it out if you aren't familiar with it or don't have the B-sides for some strange reason. And yeah, from there, I guess we'll just kind of wrap this one up fairly short. But I would love to hear your opinions on Friday I'm in Love. I don't know if I really represented everybody's perspective. Is it the pop? Is it the hit? Is it the fact that it's a pop hit that you don't like? Is it just totally blow your mind that anyone could not like this song? It's so catchy. Why, you know, where do you stand on it? I feel like everyone does have their stance, and they can't really understand why anybody else wouldn't feel that way. So let's hear your arguments. You'd probably be able to articulate it a little better than me. So, but here I am with the microphone, so someone's got to do it, right? Anyway, thanks so much for listening. We'll be back with more perspectives and actual humans having conversations soon. We got some good ones on the horizon, and I really look forward to hearing from you guys too. So every time you contribute to the episode with a recording or even an email of any sort, it really makes it that much funner, and a little spices thrown in there to spice up these episodes. You don't hear just old me. But so if you ever want to send me anything, just send it to gavinconner@gmail.com. There should be a link for it on the iTunes page there for my direct email. You can send me anything. We'll fit it into an episode. If it's a cover even, we can probably work on that. And like we've heard from Heath today, thanks so much for sending in your cover. We'll play out with Heath, and make sure you guys also check out the Facebook page where you can find more thorough links and tidbits to accompany each episode, and a great place for you to share your thoughts. Go on over to Instagram. The Holy Hour Podcast is on Instagram, where you'll get a heads up of the releases of each episode, and more feelers tend to go out on that for upcoming episodes, where you can kind of catch up what's on the horizon. And if you would like to contribute something, that'd be a good place to catch us and let us know. And aside from that, you know, just subscribe on iTunes, and that should cover us. And then we always like to plug our buddies here, so make sure you check out Arusha's project, acurefan.documentary.com. Push, a Cure Fan documentary. And also her new zine. She's got a cool Push zine that we'll be talking about all the time as these come out here on the Holy Hour Podcast. Check it out, where it's more fan-based stories and themes for each quarterly. I believe it'll be coming out. So yeah, go on over to her page. You'll probably be able to find a link for that. I know you for sure you can buy it at remixedgifts.com, and find all kinds of other cool stuff to buy there. So go on over there, check that out, and be sure we always forget to plug our friend and buddy Chaz, who's contributed so much kindness and support to this show. He has a really great Instagram account. It's 17 seconds, 17 maybe underscore seconds. And it places really cool, rare Cure photos and stories there. So go on over to Instagram and check that out and follow him. I think that's it, man. So we'll catch you soon. Thanks so much for listening. Special thanks to Emily and Heath and Chaz for contributing, and everybody on the Instagram thread, and for Robert Smith and company for writing this song so we could talk about it. Go put on Friday I'm in Love, even if you're just a sad, mad, bitter old man. Go put it on and smile and feel good. We won't tell anybody. And if you're super happy all the time and annoying, then put on Friday I'm in Love, and then go check out some of those dark songs too. All right, until next time, thanks so much. Talk hard.